Greetings, everyone. This is Miss Sammy Raven. How can I put this? I want to tell you a story about my grandfather. Not my mom's father, but my dad's father. His family came from Austin, but as he got older, in his teens, he met my grandmother. I'll show you a picture of my grandparents. They were the only living parents I had. Since, my mom's parents, I'll tell you about them later. This is my grandmother. Isn't she sweet? This is Grandpa. He was raised with a very hard father. He, an Australian, he was taught to be punished or behave or something like that. But when he got to his 20s, he fell in love with Grandma and left for the war. He was actually a war soldier. He he and his men would fight against Hitler and his men. He was an officer on a battleship against Hitler's men. He would command the soldiers to fire the battleship against Hitler's men. He was a very strong soldier. He was very impressive. And when growing up around him, he would tell us war stories about him, his men. Sometimes he would be in the battlegrounds, sometimes, but not in the bloody ground. Sometimes he would be in the office. Sometimes he would be there. He knows a lot of good veteran soldiers. So yeah, he's a veteran soldier from World War II. And as soon as the war ended, he was able to go home and marry my grandmother. Then they had three children. My aunt, the first to be born, was my dad. But when he got to college, when he was like about 15, his little sisters were born when he got to college. Carol was just a baby, so he had two sisters, and they all grew up differently. Carol grew up marrying a doctor. She has stepchildren. She doesn't talk to a lot of people, but she does talk to me once in a while. Once in a while, she would call mom and me and dad. This year for my birthday, she got me a beautiful silver heart and a few books, which I read, Marley and me. So on Carol was wonderful. But she doesn't visit a lot, but hey, I gotta love her. She's my family. She's my aunt. And then there's Anne. She is a horse lover. When I was growing up, we would go to her house and she would have two horses, a mother horse and a father horse. I was afraid of riding horses because, I got my grandmother's fear. The only thing I wasn't afraid of is roller coasters. I'm a dare roller coasters. Anyway, then when I was in high school or junior high, her horse Ninja Gray had a baby horse, a little brown named Brownie. He was a really sweet. Last time I saw him, he was growing up, and they sold them for the years. And I was able to see my aunt Anne, and for when I went to Christopher's wedding, I was able to see her, and also my grandpa. As I was growing up, my grandpa would tell me a lot of war stories and so many stories he told me. He even showed me his medals. He has about at least, I think I remember he got at least 5 medals for being a warrior, or 3 or 4. That's all I can remember. He was a warrior. He was a soldier. When we were little, we were the only kids to ever be. You see, my aunt and never had kids, only horses and motorcycles. And Carol, she got stepchildren when we were about at least, when me and Alex were 16, 15. So they don't count. So we were the standalone grandchildren of Grandma and Grandpa. And every Easter or every holiday would come and they would pinch our cheeks and tell us war stories. Although mostly I sat down and listened to war stories because I loved hearing old stories from my grandpa. See, as I got when I was younger, I was always interested in the grandpa's stories, how he fought the men up. I was so impressed with the stories, and I loved my grandpa really much. I loved him very much. And as I got older, I got a little, weird. But I still love my grandpa and my grandmother. Grandpa's a war hero. So I'm hoping that one day that maybe I can have his medals and keep him safe as a family treasure, maybe. Then there's my grandmother. Gentle. She was a basketball player in high school, at least. She was a doll collector, like me. She collects stuffed animals and dolls, and I have her doll. She passed on like about 3 years ago, and right New Year, right before New Year's. Her last words were, "I think my mom's calling me," and then she died. I love my grandma very much, but she visits me in my dreams. Sometimes she tells me I'm doing a good job helping Daddy, and she says I'm being good on Carol, and that's good, and being good to my grandpa. I was able to see my grandpa. Last time I saw him, he was very thin, very, very, very thin. Just as thin as my boyfriend is. Well, Grandpa's getting really old. I mean, we do have a special gene that makes us look like old, but we're actually young. What age do you think I look like? You probably think I'm like 22, but nope, I'm 26. That's the gene. My dad and I and Alex got it on Carol on him. So basically, yeah, we look young, but we're actually older than said. Anyway, Grandpa's still alive. And now I'll tell you about my mom's parents. When my mom was little, she had the baby sister of the family was Sally. The middle was Aunt Mary, and Rose and my mom were twins. I saw a picture of them, and they're really adorable. Believe me. And you won't believe it, but actually, when Aunt Carol and Anne and my dad were little, they looked exactly like Alexis. They had Alexis's face. They had her face and mine. Me and Alex even had Mommy and Rosa's face when they were little. I saw good pictures about them. My grandfather, my mom's dad he had his own shop, comic book shop. So my mom was always into Superman, Batman comics. She read every single comic. But then someone stole the comics. Yeah. Then years later on, he became a cop. But then when they were little, my grandma, my mom's mom, had to go to the hospital. She was born with machine connector. She had to stay with the machine for a very long time. Mom and her sisters would run from school to be there and had to wear this red striped shirt or whatever. Sometimes they wouldn't be able to get any food because they were really hungry. They were poor in those days. They were poor. But their dad, my grandfather, was able to build a beautiful gray house in Connecticut, Stamford, like Pine Hill Avenue, 12 Pine Hill Avenue Street. That's where my home is in Stamford, Connecticut. But then when my mom was 20, her mother died. But when she was growing up, even though her mom was in the hospital, her grandmother raised her and her sisters to cook, to love Italian, to love everything about being. Without the grandmother, my mom wouldn't be the stand-up good cook like today. And then her mom died when she was 20. Then she started to, well, smoke. My mom's dad never did. My mom's dad didn't smoke, but he did a lot of, well, my grandpa followed the rules of the be punished or be good. You know what I mean? Anyway, my mom and her sisters traveled a lot around the world. As I didn't say it, my mom was traveling. She traveled to Japan, Ecuador, Italy, Egypt. She went to Egypt. Uh, she went in one of those pyramids, and she actually saw a real mummy. And she actually bought a mummy sarcophagus doll with a wooden mummy doll in it. She's gonna give it to me. She's been getting a lot of dolls from every country, so she said she's gonna give them to me. They're still in the garage, and believe me, there's a lot of stuff in the garage. Anyway, she's been to London, Japan, Italy, but she's also traveled through the Bermuda Triangle on a plane. It's true, she did twice, and she didn't get caught. It's true. And I was proud of my mom after hearing her story. But this is the funny story. She lost her job when her boss actually fell in love with someone and he tricked her out of it. Yeah, my mom's boss was kind of idiot. But then my mom started meeting other guys, but they weren't right. But then my mom and dad, they met on the beach. And once my mom started to show up at her family's house, my mom's family loved my daddy. My dad's family loved mom's family. It was just good. Unfortunately, Grandpa died before I was even born, my sister. The only one who was born in the family was my cousin, Bianca. Yeah, she was the first Bianca in her family. You see, Bianca was the firstborn grandchild of my grandpa, my mom's father. And she got these dolls from him when he traveled. In a minute. Ow, I hurt my hand. These dolls were from the Caribbean. And now they're mine. See? Aren't they adorable? And then he died. So Bianca was the only one, but as they got older, as Bianca Stephanie got older, that's her sister, more kids came into the family. Sally had Christopher Dominic. Christopher's working for 3 years. She was in Italy helping people believe in Jesus. And my cousin, he was in military school, and now he got married. He owns a good job. As soon as he's done with his little business, his little duties, and he'll be able to visit us soon. And Sally, hopefully. And Christopher's married too. Christopher's wife has a twin sister, and so does Dominic's wife has a twin sister. We have twins in our family now. Anyway, also about Stephanie was into sports. Bianca was about 15. Was about 10. Well, let me explain this to you. In our family, we were always age. Christopher was youngest to me. I was youngest to my sister. She was youngest to Stephanie. Dominic was youngest to Bianca. So basically, we all grew up together. Let me explain this. Christopher 7, me 8, Lexus 9, Stephanie about 11, Dominic about at least 15, and her 17. So yeah, we all grew up together. My aunt Sally's husband, my uncle Dom, he had a other son, another woman from a previous life. But he's a very nice guy. I've met him at Christmas wedding. I babysit his little son Luca, and believe me, he is adorable little ragamuffin. I'm getting off the subject, am I? Sorry. Anyway, when I went to my Aunt Mary's house, she wanted to give the dolls to Stephanie and Bianca. Unfortunately, Bianca ended up having a son, so her boy did not like dolls. And, well, those dolls were a bit too brokeable for Stephanie's little girl. So she gave me, since she found out I'm a doll collector. Most of the dolls I got from my Aunt Sally and Mary, they gave me. They knew they loved dolls. And ever since then, I love collecting dolls. I think I got the collecting doll thing from my grandmother, my dad's mom, and I got the love of collecting dolls also from my mom's dad. So from both grandparents. So yeah, my family's huge. I have many relatives. Most of my family lives in Florida. Most of my family lives in Connecticut, Stamford. My dad's father's sister, that means my great aunt, I have another great aunt. She lives in Florida, South Florida here, with her daughter, which is good. I have more family here. I felt I wasn't the only good hole in this place. And there is family in Italy, but that's all I could say. Point is, my family has a lot of relatives. A long time ago, we had an ancestor who was actually a mayor of a small town in Italy. Can't remember his last name. And both my families came from Italy. My mom's family came from south. My father's family came from north of Italy. So we're pure Italy, even though we were raised in America. So yeah, I don't know a lot. I don't know how to talk in Italy. I have a learning disability. That's all I have to say. Anyway, I'm just proud that my family came from a good-hearted people, because my dad went to go to the garage to get things for her for Mother's Day, because there are things he wants to fill the house. Some old paintings out from Italy, from the old house. She actually gave Raven new shoes from her first doll, a Native American doll. Don't know where the doll is, and the shoes are just too big for her. All I can say is, I'm proud to be part of the Gratellos and the Ferraginas. They are my family. I will do anything to protect them. To my mom's family, to my dad's family. That's all I have to say. Adios, amigos. Bye bye, boo.